What's going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzly homer, Memphis X, and I talk hoops. Today, I am completing the series about the 82games.com article, Blueprint for NBA Championship, and we are going to talk about why the Miami Heat are just not good enough. But first, every hero needs their theme music.
Piano.
Grizz gang, go hard. Baddest in the game, we be on one. I talk hoops, so secure. All up on the court, but we gon' score. Memphis bringing heat straight from Tennessee. Demo respect and let's go.
And that's about how I feel about the Miami Heat. They are good, but they're just not good enough, baby. And there is a distinct reason why, and it was outlined easily in the 82games.com article, Blueprint for NBA Championship. Now, we remember the things that the Blueprint for the NBA Championship said as far as the first two articles went, as far as my first two videos went. And it outlines some simple things that almost the majority, and I'm not talking about 60%, I'm talking about 90% of the past NBA champions had. And then we saw with my notes about the Grizzlies that the last 17 years, these principles had held fast 100% of the time. So that means as the NBA starts to mature, as the NBA gets more and more focused on, analytics and things like that, the NBA champion for the next season is a more predictable thing. Now, the pool this year is pretty deep. Like I said, there are 10 teams that are vying for the NBA championship. Only 10 teams at this point. Now, a lot can happen during the season with trades, injuries, and things like that. It could be more, could be less. We never know. But at the start of this season, at this time, there are 10 teams who are vying for the NBA championship, and the Miami Heat are not one of them. And that would be surprising to everybody, especially since I have the Minnesota Timberwolves as one of the teams that is a contender for the title. And just speaking of that, I think I'm going to do another video on this series about the Timberwolves. Now, the Miami Heat, of course, easily show up with the defense because of Bam Adebayo. Bam is one of the best defensive players in the NBA. Jimmy Butler is sometimes one of the better defensive players in the NBA. But I think Jimmy Butler has made an all-defensive team in the last 4 years. So the defense is not the problem. The problem is Miami does not have that elite all-around player. Jimmy Butler would seem like it, but he's not. He's never made first or second. He hasn't made first or second team All-NBA in any of the past 4 seasons. He's made third team twice, but that is not enough. You have to be one of those top 10 players. And if Miami was to win a championship this year, they would be a severe outlier to the formula, as no team has won an NBA championship without a top 10 player on it. Well, I'm not going to say in the last 17 years, I know no team has won an NBA championship without a top 10 player on it from the previous 4 seasons. So this is the ultra modern history of the last 17 years since this article was printed. No team has done it. So the Miami Heat, I do not think are positioned to do it, especially with regards to how the East is set up. Now, when we look at the Eastern Conference, you already know that you have some teams in that conference that are set up to do very well. You already have the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics, and the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Brooklyn Nets are all set with all of the elements to an NBA champion. And it might be surprising to people that you see the Brooklyn Nets on there and not the Miami Heat. But the difference is that the Brooklyn Nets have Ben Simmons as an elite defensive player on their team that takes them to another stratosphere. And this might be the reason why the Brooklyn Nets flamed out last year, because they lacked that elite defensive presence on their team. And, you know, as you can see, everything went to crap for them in the playoffs and they got swept. So these same principles apply to the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat, I fear, is going to come up short unless Pat Riley can do his magic and come up with one of those top 20 players. Top 10 players. And I would say, and what's so funny about this is when you look at as you can see, when you look at the top, 10 players from the last 4 years, the biggest red flag sticking out there is one Julius Randle of the New York Knicks. That is hilarious. It is hilarious that he made second team All-NBA and Jimmy Butler did not. Jimmy Butler was third team All-NBA that year. And to me, that is hilarious. That just lets you know how voters are swayed. And I don't know. And people might say, well, this is some arbitrary and frivolous, way of looking at the future NBA champion, because if the voters would have voted Jimmy Butler in, then the Miami Heat would be contenders. But the thing is, when players play at that top 10 level, they have a 4-year span. And in that 4 years, they would have shown their elite medal in one of those seasons to be voted in first or second team. Ja Morant did it. Julius Randle was able to do it. As you can see, even Chris Paul did it the last 2 seasons before this one. So it is not something that is impossible, but you have to play at that elite level all season. You have to do something that sways the voters to vote for you. Now, it's not like the voters haven't changed in the last 30 years or 35 years or however long this article has been tracking. But things have not changed. In the last 17 seasons, the principles have held close. So I do not think Miami has a chance to win the NBA championship in 2023 as presently constructed. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Herro is enough to get Miami over the hump? Or do you think, just like they have the last 2 or 3 seasons, Miami is going to fall short of their desire to win an NBA champion? Like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I will see you tomorrow, where I might do the video on the Timberwolves, or I might move on to finish off my player rankings with the point guards. We'll see. Peace.